Tēnā koe, e hene. He mihi atu kia koutou katoa e whānau o te hiku. Tēnei te mea aroha mo te tono o tēnei ahi. Ko au te uri a Māui, te maunga Hikurangi, a Ngāti Parau a Ue Pōhatu, kia ora tātou ko Panapa Ehau Rua. I thank you for the privilege and honour to be able to share some of our story with you this afternoon. So yeah, as the sis said, Rua Bioscience, formerly known as Hikurangi Cannabis Company, really came out of a kaupapa around increasing the well-being of our people by increasing the levels of income into our whānau households. We know that there's a direct relationship between the amount of putia that comes into a whare, into a household, and the well-being of whānau that live there. We didn't set out to do cannabis. About 6 years ago now, we set up a kaupapa around shifting away from high volume, low value primary industry, which is what most of the coast is used for, in the forms of forestry and hard-hooved animals, being generally cows, a few sheep, and for things like maize. And so we wanted to see how we could utilize our taonga that are around us to do high value, low volume, so that essentially we could allow Papatūānuku to be clothed again in her korawai and the ngāhere, by only utilising the prime land for high value products. By way of a cup of tea, legal cannabis via hemp was introduced to us, and being from a place that has a lot of good growers of cannabis, we scratched the surface of that and had a look. So in our first year in 2016, we planted our first hemp crop, and that was done way out the back of nowhere to make sure that the crop that we put down wouldn't cross-pollinate any of the illegal crops that are grown by a number of our whānau, which is used to put kai on the table for our mokos and our tamariki. And from there, we developed a relationship within the community that was a trusting one, not one of curiosity and deceit and that kind of thing. So by the end of our first crop, we had looked into the industry, and the highest value with low volume was in medicinal. It hadn't been done yet in Aotearoa, but as we scanned the world, we saw that it was coming, the legalization of cannabis, and we've really been part of a handful that have had our ihu pushing through the crack in the door. There's been a few blows to the old ihu as we've been part of the crew that have paved the way. But we've been able to stay tūturu to the kaupapa of looking after our whānau and our whenua. In 2018, we had gone through the research phase, looking at is this a viable option for us? At the time, we were informed as we were, and we made the decision to raise some reasonable funds to do this thing proper. So we went out to our own community of Te Tairāwhiti and offered them the first opportunity to invest into the company. That's not usually what's done. Usually it's gone to high wealth individuals, and they usually take the risk and reap the rewards. So we did that. We've been able to bring on a number of institutional investors, and that's got us to where we are today. We have brand new world-class facilities built in Ruatoria and Turanganui-a-Kiwa, and we've secured all the licenses that we need to fulfill our orders that we have been able to, our agreements that we've been able to pen for production of medicinal cannabis. It definitely wasn't an easy path. We were definitely doing things where no one else had been before. But by being from Te Tairāwhiti, we get the light in the first thing in the morning. We're the first ones to receive it, so we kind of use that to our advantage. As the sis said, we're currently raising capital for our next couple of years. It'll be a couple of years until the company is financially self-sustaining and making a profit to allow it to do what it needs to do. And so we're doing that via listing on the stock exchange. So that happens, we go live on the stock exchange next Thursday on the 22nd at 11 o'clock. And that's been a huge learning. So as what we have been told is it's the first Māori founded company to list on the stock exchange. And I guess one of the big things is that for our whānau back home, in a place as many of our whānau up north do, there's a lot of taumaha that's around us from colonisation and te ao huri and the Western ways of thinking. But it's really a celebration of the ability to have a vision, put everything behind it, and do the do until the fruits are met. So yeah, as you know, over the last 4 years, we've been able to provide that inspiration and hope for half a generation of rangatahi and tamariki that come through. So, you know, it's a very humbling journey that we've been on with the support of our community, and we're really situated well to move ahead into the future. One of the pātai that I've been asked around how do you feel medicinal cannabis could be an emergent industry for te Taitokerau. When we started out, we were told that it would be a $20 million venture. Being who we are, we're like, oh, hikoma, we can do it for 5 mil, and even that was a stretch of our imagination. It will be at least 20 mil. We've spent probably 3/4 of that to date, and we'll be raising another 20 mil in the next very short while. So medicinal cannabis is it's pharmaceuticals, and there's a big price tag that comes with pharmaceuticals. No reira, we have been very focused throughout our entire journey of how we enable our whānau to participate in the medicinal cannabis market. Now, it requires a lot of infrastructure and expensive infrastructure, and we've been doing it on minimum viable. You'll see other companies around the country that have got massive facilities. We've done it on an approach as do it small, do it right, and then expand as we go. But we do have a commitment to focusing resources on enabling a pathway for our whānau to be able to join this industry. It's not an easy path, but we are committed to that. So to relate that to Taitokerau, as the industry emerges and becomes more solid or matures, there will be more opportunities because there will be lessons that have been learnt by others that you'll be able to leverage on. But it's a very complex, very expensive route to go down. It is going to enable, even from 3 or 4 years ago, it has reduced the price of medicinal cannabis that is accessible to whānau o Aotearoa. However, it does still carry a reasonable price tag because it's pharmaceuticals, and there's a lot of infrastructure needed for that. The reality is that in order for that rongoa to become accessible by most whānau, and especially those in the low socio-economical spaces of society, as that recreational is the space where that can be done legally. I've also been asked what's some advice or whakaaro for whānau who might want to look into it. Surround yourself with people with the best of people. We've done that right from the start. Even when we only had a few rocks to rub together, we've always surrounded ourselves by the best people that we could. As in any kind of venture, you need to be solid within yourself and your belief in what you're going to do. But we've had the privilege of the last 4 years, and it's a lofty mountain to climb to get into medicinal cannabis. No reira, it is possible. It just needs a lot of dedication, and while doing it from a kaupapa Māori base has its advantages. We're able to think intergenerationally. It does also, as we know, as Māori, have come with its challenges that come through te ao Māori, Māoridom and whānau. But I do have to say that it's been very humbling and very, very rewarding in being able to bring some people's dreams into reality of being able to grow legally. So, no reira, I'll hand it back. That's kind of my summary overview. But if there's any other pātai from, I can't see anybody, but from you, Sis Kay, or from any of the panelists, then mai koa.
Thank you. Kia ora Panapa. Hey, look, we will be probably firing pātai back through to you at a later point. I just want to say thank you, because I believe this is a bit of history in the making. Is it true that you are the first Māori-led company to go on into the stock market?
Aye.
It's pretty cool, pretty awesome. Now, I also will do my bro a service, because, you know, when you have been the first trailblazer, everyone keeps knocking at my mate's door and going, can you help me? Can you show me? And I think you have been very gracious in showing many whānau from around the motu to do so. But before you do that, I think it's really important that you do the mahi first. You know, do your planning. Please don't go knocking on the door for all the answers. Do your own Auntie Google search first at least. Don't waste people's time if you haven't done your research first, and really think about your own due diligence to see, as Panapa said, it's a big undertaking, but it could be a very advantageous one if that's a route that you wish to go down. Nō reira, e hoa, mauri ora kia koe, brother. Look, I can see you're in a vehicle. You do not have to wait. We'll wave out to you and say ka kite. Much love from te Taitokerau, kia koe ki te tai rāwhiti, and we look forward to staying connected with you, Panapa. Mauri ora.
Just on finishing, for those that are to have a serious inkling, the New Zealand Medicinal Cannabis Council, the NZMCC, is a great first port of call to do some investigation. So that's the NZMCC. Kia ora koutou.
Awesome. Thanks, Panapa. Drive safely. Take care.
Hei kona.
Ka kite.